welcome to our NewsX podcast show, which is Get Candid with Chitvan. Here with me is Mr. Navkaran Singh Bagga, our second generation entrepreneur and the visionary founder and CEO of Akvo Atmospheric Water System. Hi, Bagga. How are you?
I'm good. Hi, Chitvan. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. So, my very first question to you, Mr. Bagga, you founded Akvo with a mission to combat global water security. What inspired you to take on such a massive challenge?
So I wish, this was a very glorified filmy story where I was sitting and I saw something happening and I wanted to fight. Unfortunately, isn't so dramatic. It's a very simple understanding where I thought that, as a second generation entrepreneur, every 5 to 6 years, you try to diversify into something new. And in 2016, as luck would have it, I was in between businesses. I had just sold a majority share in one of my steel businesses, and I became kind of unemployed overnight because I went from running that place to on an everyday basis to just sitting on the board and having a board seat. So I was trying to figure out what to do next, what kind of thing that can get into, and I really wanted to do something in the renewable space, and I think. And I personally still believe also, and at that time back in 2016 also, I believe that the next 30 years is going to be about renewables, whether it's about energy, whether it's about fuel, whether it's about water. And I thought that the water industry is still a very unorganized industry, number
Hmm.
one.
Yeah.
Number two, it also is a space which is ignored. In fuel, in EV, in solar, in wind, there's a lot of money being pumped in. But water is something that we take for granted. So I thought, water seems like a very interesting bet.
Yeah.
At the same time, during my sitting and not doing much and thinking days, I saw this movie called The Big Short. I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah.
It's about the Lehman Brothers crash.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Berry at the end, they say that all his investments are going to water. And I thought, well, this is probably a sign from God. I think I should pursue something in the water space.
Yeah.
And I started to look for technologies that were good. And the whole idea of being able to capture water from air, the humidity, seemed like a very interesting thing to do. And that's how I got into this, in short.
So nice. So can you tell me, can you tell us how atmospheric water generation technology works and how it differs from traditional water sources?
So, you might have seen on a hot summer day, you take a cold bottle of water and you keep it outside. And all of a sudden you see that there are water droplets that, kind of form on the outside of the bottle.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the water is not coming from inside the bottle. The condensation is happening from the environment. So it works on a very simple concept, right? Which is if there is a surface which is cooler than the ambient temperature, water will change its form from its vapor form to its liquid form.
Yeah.
This is basic class 5,
Yeah.
6
True.
science, right? So we use a basic simple condensation process, which is we use a refrigeration-based system, much like an air conditioner. It has a compressor and a coil and a fan. We really make the surface cool. We take ambient air. And as soon as we pass the ambient air through the system, because the surface in the system is cooler than the temperature outside, automatically water condenses. And then we collect that water and then we filter it.
So nice. This will be the basic process, right?
This obviously, I'm making it far more simplistic than it needs to be.
Exactly.
But there is a figure like there is 1.2 billion gallons, 1.2 billion gallons of water in the air around us.
Yeah.
And the air is a completely untapped source for water. When we think water, we think oceans, we think rivers, we think streams, we think bore wells. But the whole idea that, we're surrounded by water in the atmosphere around us, that is something that has been ignored completely. And as a traditional source of water, like you asked, compared to any traditional source of water, this is a source that is 100% renewable, always available across, because there is always humidity in the air. And capturing that humidity is what gets us the water.
In just 7 years, Akvo has reached over 15 countries and produced 100 million liters of water annually. What do you think has been the key to this global success?
So there are about 2 or 3 things. Number one that I would attribute to is that we have tried to make the technology more accessible. One of the biggest challenges to air to water machines, and I want to be very clear, Chitvan, we're not the only manufacturer in the world. We're
Yeah.
not the first, and we clearly won't be the last. There are many companies that try to do this on an annual basis. People get into this. So we started to work on the biggest question, and there's a Simon Sinek's circle of concentric circles. So the question is how, the what, and the why. So we know the how, we know the what. The how is how do you make water from air. The what is getting the water from air and make it accessible. But the biggest question with regards to atmospheric water generators was the why. Why are customers going to buy it? Why has it not taken off? And these questions were very important for us. So we realized three things. Number one, this is not a one size fits all solution. It is not a product that you can just pick up and place anywhere and it starts producing water. Just like any renewable technology, it has its limitations. Just like solar panels will produce water, energy in only places with high daylight sunlight. Similarly, for us to capture humidity, it needs to be in a humid environment, it needs to be in a tropical climate. So that reduces the market size. Secondly, most atmospheric water generators are very power hungry. They require a lot of energy to extract water from the humidity. So we started to work on that, reduce the power consumption per liter so that we can make it more accessible to people. And number three was the size. How can we reduce the footprint, make it small, so we can get the maximum output? So today, in all three things, I'm proud to say our machines produce water even in low humidity conditions. Our machines consume only 250 watts per liter, which is the equivalent of anywhere between 1.5 to 2.25 rupees per liter extracted from the air. And our largest modules are very small. They're only 1 meter by 1 meter in size, which is really tiny compared to any traditional systems out there.
So sustainability is at the heart of Akvo's mission. How do your machines minimize environmental impact while providing clean water?
So there are two major impacts that we have. One major impact is, I'm sure in your home also, Chitvan, you have a RO.
Yeah.
And so as we know, an RO wastes a lot of water. For every 1 liter of water that you extract from a reverse osmosis plant, you could be rejecting anywhere between 3 to 5 liters of water. And that is a huge amount of water that gets wasted. So that's obviously one direct impact, right? For every liter extracted from the air, we save at least 3 liters of groundwater. So if you talk about large volumes, let's say you're talking about 100 million liters a year, we're talking about 300 million liters of water saved from the ground. That's one. The second is wherever we rely. So that's one side of the RO spectrum. The second side is wherever people rely on bottled water, right? The bottled water has a huge carbon impact. It has a huge carbon footprint because obviously to produce that bottle, it has a carbon footprint. Then the biggest carbon footprint associated to bottled water is actually through the transportation of such bottled water, right? First, the raw material will reach the factory, it'll get filled, it'll get blown up, filled, then transported to distributors, then again transported to the final customer. So the carbon footprint of bottled water is so high as compared to our systems, which is on-site water generation without any wastage.
With growing concern around climate changes, how do you see Akvo contributing to water security on a large scale in the coming decades?
So the way we look at it, we see that a huge reliance, especially in terms of our current consumers, we're making a huge impact into the corporates in India with governments abroad. So, our single largest installation is in Chennai. I can't name the company, but we're producing 30,000 liters of water from air every day in that one single location.
So nice.
Right? So when we do that kind of scalability, we see that as more and more places where the weather permits for water to be captured from the humidity, we feel that that will make a huge impact in terms of the environment around. At the same time, the second indirect benefit of generating your own water is that when more and more urban settings, more large cities, large corporates start relying on our water as a source of water, then it will free up government infrastructure to then allocate budgets to take to the rural areas, the tier 2, tier 3, because that's where the real problem is. Today, as urban Indians, we really don't suffer as much as people in rural India suffer because of lack of water.
Yeah.
So it's about resource allocation, and that's the kind of impact we foresee to have.
So nice. So my next question to you. Water scarcity impact millions of lives daily. How does Akvo address the need of undiverse communities, and what has been the social impact?
So I would like to say that we've had a huge social impact, but unfortunately, this technology, since it is energy hungry
Mhm.
and it requires power, wherever there is no power, there is going to be no water. So that automatically takes away the whole idea of being there in rural India or remote locations. Because if you do not have electricity, you cannot capture humidity from the air.
Yeah.
However, in the next 3 months, we have a new product coming out. I cannot reveal the name right now, but it's a 100% solar-based product, and it is designed for accessibility to rural areas, to remote locations, whereby you can just set up the system. It will require no power input whatsoever,
Mhm.
and be able to extract. Each module will be able to extract roughly between 18 to 20 liters of water from air every day without any need for external power. And it'll be like solar panels, so you can set up multiple modules to scale up the water generation.
So you mentioned making air to water technology a household name. How do you plan to educate and engage people about this innovation solution?
So I've been doing this for about 7 years now, and a huge part of our mission and journey has been to create awareness, to create
Yeah.
education. There's a lot of branding, PR, a lot of marketing we've done. We're the only air to water company in the world that has actually made
Mhm.
6 ad films. There is no other company in the world that has made ad films. But on a grassroots ground level,
Mhm.
to make it more accessible, what we are doing today, because primarily our focus is on business to business enterprise, is that we have started offering our systems now to corporates under what we call the Akvo Wow program, which is Akvo Water on Want.
Mhm.
It's a OPEX based system where the companies don't have to buy our machines. We go in and install our systems at our cost, and
Mhm.
we have a long term contract for them to pay us per liter generated from the air.
Okay.
So by going down this route, we plan on making it more accessible, where people don't have to worry about the initial capital cost, because the initial capital cost is higher than what normal filtration systems would be.
Gosh.
And this way, we're also winning customer trust because they only pay for whatever water is generated. They
Mm.
don't have to pay for fixed capital cost.
So how does Equo leverage lot of technology to enhance scalability and adapt to diverse user needs?
So, number one,
Mhm.
primarily, all our systems are 100% software run. They have their own algorithm, their own electronics. But the second most important part to this is that all our systems, as of December 22,
Okay.
that we've deployed globally, are IoT embedded, which means they all have GSM cards in them, and they transmit to us real time on how much water is being generated, what is the weather like, where is the humidity like. So we know exactly what efficiency the system works at. At the same time, it also helps us address any service after sales support issues, because we know exactly what is wrong with the system to
Yeah.
be able to monitor it and to provide the solution. The second part of this is what we're bringing into play is now more weather conducive systems which will operate as per the weather conditions. So the impact we're making in deep tech is that whether it's a place like Chennai, where the humidity is high throughout the year,
Mhm.
or if it's a place like Jaipur where it becomes extremely dry, we should have systems that can provide water in both situations. Today, although our current specific tech that is in the market today is more suited to high humidity areas,
Mhm.
but we have 3 products down the pipeline which are using technology,
Okay.
both hardware, software, and deep engineering to solve that problem and even operate in low humidity areas.
So as an entrepreneur, what advice would you give to other looking to create impact and sustainable solution in clean tech?
So today, I think clean tech is a wide open space, and
Yes.
there are so many aspects of it. But the only point that is very important for any clean tech entrepreneur or green entrepreneur or greenpreneur, whatever they're calling them nowadays, is that it's a patience game. It's a slow game,
Very
and just because it is clean does not mean people will pay more money. So, irrespective of it being extremely clean and environmental friendly and amazing, if it is going to be more expensive than traditional old systems, people are not going to want your new technology. So, both
very
the
true.
dynamics of being environmental friendly, eco friendly, at the same time pocket friendly, that is very important, because you could have the best product in the world, but if it's still is going to be more expensive than traditional systems, nobody's going to buy them.
Yes. Lastly, what message would you like to share with listeners about the importance of addressing water scarcity and Akvo role in building a sustainable future?
So, to viewers, I would like to say that we should not take water for granted. More and more cities across the world over the last 10 years, you've seen major cities that are falling into these issues with providing either supply of water or even quality of water. So it's very important for everyone to be water conscious. People take water for granted because they think like it's going to rain and water is going to come and there's no scarcity of water. But water has to be taken seriously because there might be abundant amount of water around us, but it's not accessible to all. And this is something we should not take for granted. And Aqua's role in this particular situation is to try and offset as much groundwater as possible across the world. So the traditional old water sources that we have, groundwater, aquifers, they refill, and more water can be accessed by people across the world.
Thank you, Mr. Bagga, for sharing Akvo's incredible journey and vision with us today. Wishing you and Akvo continuous success in your mission to provide sustainable access to clean water globally. To our listener, let's stay inspired to create change in our own ways. Until next time, this is Get Candid with Chitvan. Stay tuned for more stories, innovation, and impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Chitwan.